Thank you. John, there's another case of somebody who was in this country illegally, allegedly murdering a young woman, this time in Michigan. Her name was Ruby Garcia. Donald Trump is out there now calling this Biden's border bloodbath. What do you call it?
Well, first of all, while I'm not aware of the specifics of this case, I mean, that's just terrible news. And our thoughts and prayers obviously go to the family of Miss Garcia. I mean, that's the kind of news no family ever wants to get, ever. And we would certainly defer to local law enforcement and investigative bodies to do the spade work that needs to be done to figure out exactly what happened to Ruby. And to hold the perpetrators accountable for that. So why don't we let the judicial process play out here before we start making grandiose bumper sticker comments about what this says about the border. And Peter, to folks that are concerned about border security, the president will be the first one to stand up here and say he agrees that the border does need some security capabilities, that we do need more Border Patrol agents. And all that has to happen is for the speaker to do his job, put that supplemental on the floor. Let's get a vote. Let's get those 1,300 additional Border Patrol agents down there to do their jobs.
But everybody in this room knows that the bill that you guys keep talking about as a solution is dead at the moment. And
says you. It doesn't need to be dead, does it?
the bill's dead.
Says you.
When's the vote?
You ask Speaker Johnson
The
that.
bill's-
It doesn't need to be dead, Peter.
There are real problems at the border while that bill just languishes, right? The chief of the Border Patrol is saying,
Exactly.
of 140,000 gotaways, if we don't know who is coming into our country and we don't know what their intent is, that is a threat. Does President Biden agree?
The president absolutely believes that along that border we do have significant national security concerns that have to be met. But you said something really good in your question that I loved, that while these concerns are going on, the bill languishes. So what's needed? It's not anything more from the president. What's needed is for Speaker Johnson to do his job, get that thing on the floor. Let's get it voted on. They had a chance and decided not to act because certain people in House Republican world wanted a problem rather than a solution.
As the person in charge of preventing a terrorist attack in the homeland, does President Biden think that some of these border crossers could be in the United States right now plotting a terrorist attack against
The president's
Americans?
confident that throughout the interagency, DHS, intelligence community, that we're doing everything we can to be as vigilant as we can to ensure the safety and security of the American people here at home.
Thank you, Karine. On the consideration of these new executive orders for the border, what changed between the time President Biden said, "We are a nation who says if you want to flee and you're freeing oppression, you should come," and now?
I don't understand. What do you mean? Your question, I don't get.
As a
How
candidate,
it's
President
connected
Biden
to
was
the-
telling people to come to the border. So what has changed since then?
I don't have the context of this quote that you're giving me, but what I will say is this. The president took this issue very seriously of what is happening at the border and the immigration system as a whole, right? And we have said over and over again, this is a system that has been broken for decades. Under the last administration, as you know, which was a Republican administration, and other administrations before that. And he took this so seriously that the first piece of legislation that he put forth on day one was on immigration reform. That is what counts, and that is what matters. And for the past several months, we worked with Republican senators and also Democrats in the Senate to try to come up with a fair and tough piece of legislation that would deal with border security. That was, let's not forget, endorsed by the Border Union Patrol. And that's how seriously the president has taken it. We've done this for months, and House Republicans have gotten in the way. The Speaker has gotten in the way. And so we want to deal with this issue. This is an issue that majority of Americans care about. House Republicans, the Speaker got in the way. The question really is for the Speaker. What changed? Speaker Johnson, what's changed?
Something else President Biden has promised is a more humane border policy than Trump. So why would he even be considering now a border policy that is more similar to Trump?
What border policy are you talking about?
Axios is reporting that the legal authority Biden is considering using powered Trump's Muslim ban and similar sweeping restrictions at the border.
I'm not going to get into or comment on individual policy option that's being speculated right now. As I said before, no decisions have been made. We want to make sure, the president has been very clear, he wants to make sure that our country is safer, and we need more border security, obviously, to secure our border. We've been very clear about that, and we want to do it while treating people fairly and humanely. And that is consistent with our values. But look, Republicans continue to get in the way. Speaker Johnson has gotten in the way of this. And so a lot of these questions are for him. We did our job. The Senate did their job in a bipartisan way. There are provisions in that, policies that are in that legislation that Republicans agreed with at some point, not very long ago, just last year, that they agreed with, and now they're rejecting it. Oh, my goodness.
Thank you. First, so you guys started draining the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to try and help with the Putin price hike a few years ago. Said you were going to refill it, but now it doesn't seem like that's happening. Why?
Well, I believe the Department of Energy is responsible for that particular component, is refilling that. So I would refer you to the Department of Energy. I know there were certain components to that, and how they were going to move forward in refilling it. They would have more specifics on that for you.
Okay. And why isn't federal immigration law tougher on border crossers who come here and are accused of serious crimes?
So, are you speaking of a specific case?
There's this story in New York, an 8-person crew of border crossers found with drugs and guns. 6 of them now are out on bail. Does President Biden think policies like that are making the country safer?
So I want to be really careful. That's an active case, so don't want to comment on an active case. But anyone found guilty, and we've been very clear about that, anyone found guilty of a crime should be held accountable. We have been very, very clear about that. And if a person poses a danger to a community, they should be detained pre-trial.
So more generally then, do you guys think that some big cities in this country have liberal DAs that are too soft on crime?
Look, what I will say is I'm not going to speak to every state or city here. It's not for me to speak to. We have been very clear about this. Anyone who commits a crime and is found guilty needs to be held accountable. That's what this president believes. And we are certainly very much, we welcome local law enforcement support and cooperation in apprehending and removing individuals in this country who pose a risk to our national security or also public safety. If they are found guilty, they should be held accountable. That's where we stand on this. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Two questions. One is.
Thank you, Karine. Thank you, Karine. As a candidate, President Biden didn't say there will not be another foot of wall constructed that, except what was appropriated in 2019. He said there will not be another foot of wall constructed in my administration. So something changed. What?
You want us to break the law? Is that what you want? You want us to not comply with the law?
I'm not.
But you want us to not comply with the law. You want us to not be in administrations that follow the rule of law.
You guys do this all the time. The student loans, the student loan forgiveness program, you went to court to fight for that. If this is such a problem, building 20 miles of wall, why not just go to court?
We went to Congress. The Congress appropriates the funding.
Why not
Congress,
fight them more?
Congress appropriates the funding. We asked them to not use that funding for that particular purpose. They denied it, and now we're complying with the law.
If you have to build a border wall, but you don't think that it's going to work, then once it's done, are you just going to tear it down?
I'm not getting into hypotheticals from here. I'm just telling you what I can tell you from here. The facts are that DHS is complying with the law. This is from this was under fiscal year 2019 under Republican leadership, and DHS is required to do this. The president asked multiple times of Congress to reappropriate. They did not, and we're not complying by the law. Thanks, everybody.
It's anti-democratic to blackball major newspapers.